Ahead. Good evening and welcome to Know Your Purpose. I'm Dr. Stacy Venable. Tonight we have an inspiring author here tonight. I was going to say artist because she is an artist. She just created something fantastic, so that is a part of artistry. So yeah, that's artistry as well. So tonight we were just a little late. We had some technical difficulties. We were joking and laughing, and we said we're going to blame it on our podcast manager, but that is the truth. We had some technical difficulty, but we're back now. I'm back. It's great to be back in the building. I haven't been back in the building in a couple of weeks, just out making sure I'm living life and doing the things I need to do. So I miss being back in the building. It's amazing being back in front of this podcast studio. I think it's where my growth is. I think it's where I find my purpose and where I found my purpose. So tonight we just want to, before we get started, we just want to put out a disclosure that these are our views. This is the beliefs that we're sharing with our public. If there's something tonight that you do not believe in or something that you just don't want to hear, maybe this is not your platform. Maybe you can tune into something else, one of my other shows. But tonight, this is what Miss Sheila Tyson has stood her purpose on. And she's the founder, she's the author, and she's going to bring a lot of great nuggets. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to go get your paper, your pen, because I'm trying to tell you the nuggets that are going to be dropped tonight are going to be very valuable. But even if you don't want to do that, you just want to listen in. Hey, these books are for purchase right now, and you can just start from scratch on your own time. But tonight, not only is she just a great author, but she's a great friend. She's a great sister. She's been a great confidant to me from day one that we met. We bonded right away. This is what we need more of. That sisterhood. We need more of it. There's not been one time that I haven't called upon her, and she has not showed up. And she shows up with excellence. Poise. This is what, ladies, this is what we need to look like. Okay, this is who we need to be mimicking. Greater women. And the reason why I use greater is because one thing she has trumped over me is knowledge. She is older than I am, so I will never ever be. Yes, but she's beautiful though. But but guess what? Her wisdom outranks any type of. So I want to make sure women understand that we can have this. It's good to have a big sister.
Yes.
It's good, especially out here in this world that I'm living. It's so much hatred. It's so much, oh my goodness, she's got that. She's doing this. She's doing that. But
everybody's mad.
Everybody's so angry.
All the time.
Yes. Everybody's so angry all the time. And one thing that I've learned in my journey, Miss Sheila, is that not everybody was meant to go with you anyway. But as I'm starting to see the finish line, because I have a great goal to retire in 5 years.
Okay.
I have been hitting this platform so crazy lately, and I'm so grateful that God has given me my breath back, because once there, I didn't have it. And let me tell you, I lay dormant for a while, and that was the worst time for me. But I said in 5 years, I made this vision board, and in 5 years, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done. I want to let my businesses speak for themselves. I want to be a grandmother. I want to be there, just inspiring other women. I'll be at that time, hopefully motivational speaking all around the world. Just making sure I'm tending to my goals. So Miss Sheila has tended to her goals.
Yes, I have.
Welcome, Miss Sheila, and tell us a little bit about yourself, because I've already shared.
Okay, I'm Sheila Tyson, author name S.Y. Tyson, the author. I wrote Love's Pain maybe about 10, 15 years ago, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. We're just learning of it, but she said she wrote this years ago.
Years ago, and I couldn't type well.
Okay.
So I put it in the corner. And then I found out my granddaughter could type. So she typed the whole thing up, put it on the USB, just sat in the corner for a few more years.
Oh, wow.
And then when I moved, I pulled out the original manuscript and read it. And I said, let me get this published. I sent it out to a publisher to get it published. It took like 6 months. So while that was getting published, I wrote part 2. Then I wrote some children's books. I wrote teen books. I have a nonprofit, Coming to Kings. So I wrote books for Coming to Kings. So I stayed busy the whole time that was out being published.
That's amazing. And this is part 1, correct?
This is part 1.
So I'm telling you right now, My audience, if this is part one, then part two is, I'm telling you, it's just going to be even better. What gave you the thought process to do to love's pain? Because that word love and that word pain conjoining together, what made you?
Mean something.
It does, and I'm not even, usually people say, well, what inspired you to write that? No, I don't want to say inspired you. What caused you to write that?
When I wrote it, it was a love story.
I've read some of it.
When I wrote it,
Corey in Asia.
Yes, I wrote it as a love story.
I saw myself in Corey and Asia in their relationship, like even when I was younger. Like I really can relate to that story.
Yeah, it was a love story. But then when I read it years later, I said, this relationship is toxic.
Yes, it is.
At the time I was writing
it is.
I didn't think it was toxic. I was just writing a love story, and this is what goes on in a relationship.
That's the stuff people don't want to talk about.
So, yeah, sometimes. And when I read it years later, I said, okay, this is a toxic relationship. Then I learned more about toxic relationships
and what it really is.
Yes.
A lot of people like using that word toxic, and they really don't know what it is. And they're using it for their own purpose, but they don't know the background behind the definition of what it truly is. And knowing that even being in church, having church relationships can be toxic, having job relationships, not just our personal one-on-one boyfriend, girlfriend, not intimate, none of that. People are forgetting that. I had a whole conversation the other day about boundaries and toxicity and what it means. And I even added another word in there.
What's that?
Divorce.
Divorce.
Sometimes you have to divorce yourself from that job.
Other people,
the people, the job, the circumstance, what vamped it, what happened. Sometimes you just, and divorce is not an ugly word. It can be a welcome separation for you to start over again. And I have done that. I have done that where I haven't just left a relationship. Sometimes I've literally had to divorce it and not look back for a while until I was able to heal and create healthy boundaries with that issue or with that purpose or what drove me to want that. And then not saying it always has to be, I'm never going to go back to it again, but I just know I needed to do an output of it, divorce it, put it away for a while. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll go back, but I want to go back healthy.
Right. I
want to go back into it healthy.
Because sometimes it's family members too.
Absolutely. And I did that too.
An unhealthy, toxic relationship is how a person makes you feel. Whenever you come around a person and you just don't feel good or feel right being around them, the relationship is not good.
No.
So then you have to divorce yourself.
You do.
But a lot of people don't.
What do you think? What do you think holds people there? To where do you think it's just their own self-being, their self-esteem, or what do you think?
Reasons. There's so many different reasons.
But being as though you're dibbling and you put these two words together, love and pain. What do you think in that interim?
Because some people think pain comes with it all the time, especially if you grow up in it. Especially if you grow up in a family where it's always toxic, always unhealthy. That's just your normal lifestyle. And that's how I feel anyway.
Absolutely. This is your platform. This is your purpose. This is our show. So this is all based upon you writing this book and why you wrote the book and what you want the outcome of this book to be. But also we as women and even men that are watching tonight, we would like to know, like, what do you think is some of the, we don't talk about that, the causes of the love and the pain, and
about to talk about
but we about to talk about it. We about to talk about it. So again, you said that this is a love story between two individuals, and you want to go ahead from there?
Yes, it was a love. It started off as a love story, but the relationship just got bad, and it got a lot of destruction in the relationship, and it started affecting the people around them. That's part one. Part two deals with family members coming in.
We can all relate to that.
Yes, bringing all of their mess into your relationship and making it worse. And part three is about the product of a toxic relationship. That'll be the child, because kids watch what we do.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
However we handle relationships, that's how our kids are going to handle.
Yes, they do. And I can speak on that personally. Being a mother, raising children on her own, and hearing my son say, well, I saw what you went through, or I saw what daddy did, or I saw what you did to daddy. I mean, and at that time I wasn't, but again, not making any excuses. I was a young mother.
Okay. And most mothers start off what, 20?
I had my first son when I was 15.
Okay.
So I started off,
Teenage.
yes, I was a teenager, so I didn't know what I was doing myself. And then here I am trying to teach someone else, and I didn't know myself. So yeah, so I grew up with my older son, and I think with growing up with him, because I was so toxic to myself. And I want you to hear me. There's no way that you can love anything unless you start that love from within.
Yes.
And we all go around as mothers and we claim, oh, we just love our children. No, at 48, I learned a few years ago that no, don't you hold that badge of honor, because you didn't. But then again, my therapist said to me, but you had that right. You were 15, 16 years old. You didn't have what you needed.
Yeah.
So you couldn't dare give him what he needed.
I mean, some women are 30, 35 and they still don't have what they need.
That's true. That's true.
It's hard to
That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about the toxicity in a different realms that you would like to talk about.
Like in the family, like growing up, if you see your parents fighting all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's the norm for you. So when you're 18, 19, you go out and get somebody. Fighting is normal.
Fighting is normal. It was a part of, yeah.
But as parents, we want to protect our kids.
Absolutely.
So
that's our main goal.
Yeah, get away from him. They're no good for you. You know what I mean? You can do better. But the whole time we still got that person. We was fighting in the other room. We never left.
We have to lead by example. We have to lead by example.
Yeah, so that's why we have a lot of issues with our teenagers when we're trying to tell them one thing, but they watch us do something else all those years. You know?
And we talked a little bit before the show, and within research and polling, just because I know you had to research to do the writing of your books and go through some things in order to even get this book to come to paper. There had to be a thought process to that. In polling, do you see where it affects more women? Does it affect more men? Does it affect a different one set culture? Or do you think this is just
affects everybody?
This is just something that's
across the board.
Because I'm just going to tell you, sometimes when I was a younger woman, I remember being in high school, and I remember I had a friend named Rebecca, and her mom and dad would just display so much affection to each other. Like there was never raising voices in their house. They all sat down at dinner and, do you want more? Would you like this? Pass that, And I'm thinking to myself, what? Wow.
Like that.
And we've all watched the Waltons. We've all watched, we've all watched those things. And then you get over to Good Times and the Jeffersons, and you're like, whoa, these are two different ways.
Good time, they were poor. Good times,
right? But I'm just saying, even in the Waltons, they were poor too. But I'm just saying the mimicking of it. But those are true lives. Those are true life stories.
They display like everything. Our friends' kids come to our house. We display everything that's fine too. We change a little bit when companies around. People don't know what's going on in your house.
That's true. Really that is 100% true. And those are some of the things. I believe it may be Mahisa Green, who has a wonderful book out. What goes on in my house. Mahisa, we're throwing you some love tonight. Mahisa Green, that book was awesome. It was super amazing, and it talks and brings strength to what we're talking about tonight, because that's where toxicity starts. You can't tell. And I loved her. I loved her front cover.
I know,
because I remember being I literally could put myself in her book. Because my mama would tell me in a minute,
all of our family,
what goes on in this house stays in this house, and you best not if you want your teeth.
We grew up like that.
We did.
But then there's so many kids with depression, anxiety, all of these.
Those are words we didn't know when I was younger.
But I don't think we had it like that back then. I don't think there was as much going on back when we were growing up.
And but I also empathize with that, being as though it was a lot of the times it was a 2-parent home. Nowadays it's just mom coming home. I remember, when my grandparents, my grandfather used to always come home. My grandmother would be in the kitchen cooking, or I remember playing in the laundry out back of her house. My grandmother would be home during the day, and then when my grandfather would come home, he was the breadwinner. He would go, and then even in my mom's relationship, I remember, my mom would always be home. Nowadays, these kids are turning the lock with nobody home.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
And then another thing. My mom would always ask us, how was your day at school? Nobody's asking these children. And you know what?
Exactly.
How about, let's not even about children. Nobody's asking each other.
Yeah.
How was your day? Well, somebody asking me that. I'm like, whoa, like you. But when you ask someone, make sure you care
I
to
was gonna say
know.
most of the time, man, it's just being nice.
Make
That's
sure
just the
you
way
care
it's
to
done, huh?
know. But these children are, and I know young coming of kings is one of your pieces too, and you mentor through that. As you're seeing those young men, do you think that this generational foundation of the brokenness, do you see it where, because that's one of the questions I had asked Reverend Tillman when he was on the show, do you see this escalating
Because of the broken
because of
family
the
or
broken
single
family
family home.
unit
But
and we are broken
I
still?
was gonna say it's not only that because they can have both parents, but if the parents are not getting along, that's no
Exactly,
better.
that brokenness
If the
is
parents don't get along in the house, if the house has a lot of fuss and fight and destruction, that's no better than the kid growing up in a single family home.
one thing that I've been plagued with, even with now that I am a board certified counselor. One of the things that I've been researching is even the toxicity between co-parenting.
Oh
You
man,
know,
yeah,
my ex-husband and I, we co-parented, but again, remember I was young, so I always equivalent. And I just said this on a platform. I was on a platform with about 15 other individuals, and we were talking about the co-parenting piece. I remember it wasn't even about the kids. I was just mad at him.
right, right. And
You
you
know,
push the
and I
kid.
and I and I would try to make drop off. This is bad, and and then the poor kids are going back through tug of warring and things of that nature. That co-parenting piece is was what hinders a
They
lot of.
feel it. Yeah, they feel it.
Yeah,
They sense it.
yeah,
So they
and I
blow it up.
remember one of the people that were in the audience was saying, my kids are young, they still hear, they still see, they still feel.
That's when they start learning about relationships when they're
Absolutely.
young. So even if
Well, you
you,
learn about they we learn about a relationship from the womb.
yeah,
They
even if
know
you get remarried and have a beautiful life, your kid is still suffering from everything that you put
that
them through.
trauma, that
Yeah,
trauma,
it's
trauma is a
trauma. That's
real
what it
word.
is. Yeah.
Trauma is a real word. So as they're introducing these children to the word anxiety,
Hmm.
the word depression,
Hmm.
they're also introducing them to the word trauma,
Yeah.
and identifying trauma. How do you feel as though, like, when you're out there, even in books, and you're bringing a lot of great things, you have a journal here,
Hmm.
and the reason why I asked about the trauma, because I didn't get to see the journal until you just showed it to me.
Hmm.
You have a great way in here of how to release trauma.
Yeah.
Want
I'm
to talk
writing it
about that?
down. Writing it down.
So this is her journal, and I want her to talk about that.
About the journal. Yeah.
Hmm.
The journal is for your personal use. The journal has share how your partner criticizes you, and that's for you to write down
Hmm.
how you feel. Share how
Hmm.
your partner attacks your self worth.
Hmm.
That happens in a lot of
Yes, it
relationships.
does.
So this is for you. You know it, but you don't think about it. But once you start writing it down, then it's going to become obvious. They doing it every day. You
Hmm.
know.
It's going to become a form of, this is a repeat pattern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Share how your partner devalues your feelings, and that's important.
That's very
Because
important.
when you with somebody, you want them to value your feelings. But
Hmm.
a lot of relationships, that's not happening.
One of the questions that I was asked the other day on a panel was this as well, and I couldn't wait till you got on the show just to hear, like, your opinion on it. One of the young ladies stood up and said, that her and her boyfriend, I think they were maybe 6 or 7 months into their relationship, and she said that they were having a disagreement, and they kind of wanted to bring it before the panel because they like to hear what other people are saying. She was saying that she feels as though she should teach him how to treat her, and he was like, I know how to treat a woman. But she was saying, maybe the way you think you know how to treat me. So what do you feel about that? Because I feel like even in the brokenness of things that have been going on in my life, that I feel like I should have stepped up, and I should have said, more. I should have had a bigger voice. Like, I want you to treat me this way, and this what makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And some men are like, let me do my thing. I'm a man. I'm going to show you how I'm going to treat you this way. And maybe I waited too long to step up and say, you know what? I want to be treated like this.
Yeah, yeah. She should. I mean, she should be able to tell him. He should listen.
Absolutely. Because I remember one time before, I don't like room temperature or anything. And he would keep constantly giving it to me. And then when I said it to him, because that's what he liked. And when I said it to him, he was like, well, you never said anything. And I'm thinking to myself, this journal would have allowed me, after I started writing down the patterns of things that I did, not even criticisms, but the things I didn't like, it would have showed me that this is continuously happening. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel as though, you can go to your significant other, your boo, whatever you want to call them, and say, hey, it's not that I don't like the way you treat me, but this is the way I want to be treated. And then set those, I prefer, I like that word. And then set the healthy boundaries and also the expectations you have for one another.
You should be able to.
Because I think a lot of relationships are failing because they get into this, my son calls it the honeymoon phase, and everything is wonderful, but nobody is setting expectations. Like, when I'm 60, what do you want from me?
But are we listening to each other?
No. Because if you didn't set the boundary and you didn't set the expectation, that's one of the things that I'm working on. One of the things I'm working on personally. When I'm 60, will you still love me? Is there expectation? Do you want me to keep my hair this way? Do you want me to, how do you feel? How are you going to feel about when menopause sets in with me? How are you going to feel? These are questions that I never thought to even ask.
But all of us change, though. He might, at 25, want you to be a certain way at 60, but by the time he's 45.
That's why don't you think that's why communication is just important. The number one key factor? And I'm going to tell you, the women, men out here, my audience, stop thinking that text messaging is a form of communicating. Sit down with each other. Because I sent a text message a couple of weeks ago to someone, and a couple of days later, like, they walked in and said, well, I haven't been back because I thought you were mad at me. I was like, how? I'm not mad at anybody. He was like, well, through your text messaging, your voice tone.
Through the text?
Because, I was short with it. I'm working. I'm like, I'm short with it, but usually I send something longer, but I was short with it. But then when they sat down with me and saw my expression, I am working on not doing that in the relationships that I need to be really solid foundation. Now, if I have a partner and I need to send something quick out, but I can tell you that that's one of the things that I'm truly working on, because you don't get to see emotion through text messages.
Right.
You don't get to see empathy. You don't get to see thoughts. You don't get to see care.
People don't like to talk anymore.
And that's really sad.
This generation of people getting together, everything is through text.
It is, and it's something.
Social media.
And but I think us as a whole, if you're in a relationship and you can say to your significant other or partner or whatever have you, we're gonna not. Today I had to tell someone, I don't want to do this over the phone. And again, I am learning truly what a healthy boundary looks like. Yes. If you want a good relationship, I'm not even saying a good intimate relationship, because intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. Right. It starts through the form of communication.
Right. Yes. It does.
Okay. Not every time do you have to roll around and hey, as my mama used to say. But intimacy starts with the level of conversation that you have to have for one another. So today I said, you know what? I hear you, but I'd rather talk about it when we get together. I'm doing different things.
Right.
And I think that starts our healing process. But the journal is going to be great for me, because sometimes you don't even know when you're being toxic.
Exactly.
But if you have that journal to go back on and say, hey, on Monday, I did X, Y, and Z, and that person reminds me of it, I said, I'm gonna go back to my journal and see what I wrote in my journal. Come Wednesday comes the same thing. Friday comes the same thing. At that point, it becomes a pattern, and maybe you will see that you were the problem, and not him or not her or not anybody else. Maybe the problem lied with you.
Right.
That's another thing that we not just as women.
We don't want to claim it,
Accountability.
We don't want to claim it.
Accountability in this love.
But most relationships are like that. It's always your fault.
It has to be someone's fault.
Yeah.
It has to be someone's fault. But even growing, because I'm still growing, even though like I've been through a lot, I'm still growing. But I think the thing that gravitates more to me is my ability to want to change.
There you go. And that's what we need to do. Most people need to want to change.
And
A lot of people don't want to.
Right. And I can tell you in the last couple of years, and even friends of mine of 30 plus years, you know, they're like, wow, we don't know this person. That's why it's good to have a different title. I tell people we can have different titles all the time. That's why I loved how you made your S, what is it, the SY? Because I was asking Saquon, is it just S Tyson? He was like, no, I like the way how you became SY because you now have a title. Because I tell a lot of people, a lot of people know Stacy, but they don't know Doc.
Right, right.
Because you get an opportunity to house who you are and what's your purpose. I literally just started walking in my purpose about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And in with me walking in my purpose, I had to understand that, Stacy, before you can hold the world accountable for what all the world done to you, hold yourself accountable to what you allowed the world to do without setting healthy boundaries and without setting expectations for yourself. I can't go in there and tell a man what I want when I don't even know what I want for myself. Sometimes going on a sabbatical to say, you know what, I'm going to shut everything down and I'm going to find out who I truly am.
Love yourself first.
Love yourself first.
And that's what everybody needs to do. And people like to be in a relationship, so it's kind of hard to even find out who you are when you're with somebody all the time.
Because I don't care what you say, you tend to turn into somebody totally different.
And you're changing for that person. You're changing for that person to like you, or out of different reasons. But you have to learn who you are first.
Absolutely. Like I told Saquon as you were on his show Wednesday, that was a great show. You guys did a great show. I was telling Saquon, you know, you can't go out here. He's my baby. He'll be 25. Saquon will be 25 on the 23rd. So shout him out that day. We gonna love on him. I remember when I was 25. I remember when I was 25, some things, right? I was telling him, you know, you can't begin to offer anyone anything until you know yourself.
Know what you want, yeah.
Because sometimes I think we get into these honeymoon phases with different relationships, and we're not offering up our own true self. We're not authentic.
We're giving them what we think they want. We're changing them who we think they want us to be.
Yeah. I matter of fact, I was on a tour. I did a 12-city tour, and I just got off that tour. Yeah, that was it was a long tour. And I remember one of the young ladies in the audience was saying, you know, with her issue was the fact of the matter that she couldn't offer nothing because she didn't know who she was. She said she kept having all these failed relationships and she couldn't figure it out. And she did it through journaling. That's why I love journals. And she came to the realization that it was her. It was her because she had not taken the step to heal from past hurts. She just kept moving on. And she said she always needed someone there to validate her.
And I've heard that from a lot of women. I've heard that because I've been asking this question, why are we staying in unhealthy relationships? And I've heard, well, I want somebody. I want to have somebody.
You know, I think for me, the reason why I stayed was for the stability.
Okay.
That's the reason why I stayed in the unhealthy relationship, because I was stable.
Okay,
you
financially?
know, you know what? It just wasn't that I was stable financially. I knew I was going to have someone to come home to. I knew that there was never going to be I was scared of emptiness.
So that's okay,
you know,
just to have somebody.
Just to, you know, and not only that, just understanding, like, you know, the dynamics of what a husband and wife are supposed to have and what a husband and wife are supposed to look like. And just wanting that, because I never saw that at home and growing up. I always saw it at somebody else's house. So even after me being single for a long period of time, and I got remarried, and I said, okay, wow, you no longer have to struggle by yourself. You're going to always have someone by your side, and that person is supposed to love you, and you're supposed to love that person back. And I'm using the word supposed to, and that person is to honor you, and in sickness and health. And I remember through the 3 years I got really sick. I had October 6th of last year, I had a major heart attack, and I just remember the concern and the love, and okay, I said, this is what I want for a lifetime. This is what I want for a lifetime. So I think after like all the red flags went up, I didn't see them because I was so comfortable. I was stable. So yeah,
Yeah, we don't want to see the red flags. Most of us do see the red flags, but we don't want to see them.
I can guarantee.
Just put them to the side.
I can guarantee you that there were red flags, and there were probably red flags on his end too, and red flags. But then we're looking at then age does not help.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man, I'm 48 years old. I am not trying to do this again.
I'll be by myself the rest of my life.
I want to be by myself for the rest of my life,
that.
you know, because after a certain age, people have to understand again, and I'm going to drill this into my 1.57, I think it's 7 Saquon K followers. Intimacy is not the form of a sexual act first.
Right.
So when you're 80 years old and you're sitting there, that's all you have sometimes is the pillow talk.
Yeah,
and the pillow talk can get you through the night to where you're sleepy and you're going to go to sleep. But if you started your life off on the wrong persona of what intimacy is, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, that's another book.
Another book? Yes, I love it. I love it.
Not for me, for somebody else.
I love it. And I might have to take a dibble in that. But I love the fact of the matter that we now, as women, and I'm not taking anything from my men viewers because I do have a lot of men viewers. We now, as women, have been validated to know who we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's helping with the relationship. And we're not here again on a panel. They talked about stripping men of their masculinity.
I was going to say, is it hurting or is it helping?
So that's one of the things. I have Miss Sheila here in the building, and she's talking about love pains. I'm asking her all these questions that y'all want to ask that y'all haven't asked. I'm asking. How do you feel about that?
That's another argument because women are doing a lot now.
Yes, we are.
Women are working because they have to. They're the head of the house because they have to be. They running their own business because they want to, you know, and they're doing a lot.
We are doing a lot, and I can tell you, like, even through me, like personally, I literally run 6 to 8 businesses, and these are mine, you know. And then and it's funny because sometimes I'll mention the businesses before I mention the fact that I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. I'm a sister.
So what is that?
I'm a friend.
Time at for your,
family,
for your husband.
And you know, the thing about that is, I thought he, was going to come along on the journey. You know, this is we made a pact. We're going to come along on this journey, and he's going to grind because sometimes even when he's grinding, I don't do a lot of complaining because we literally we communicated about it and we both were in agreement. But to your question, I looked back over that a couple of months ago and said, I think you and I were talking in my office. Maybe I didn't give enough of that. But when do you, as a woman who's been stagnated for so many years, and you have such that career in front of you, and you want to go get it?
That's your purpose. That's your journey. You want him to jump on your journey.
You know what? I wanted us to do it. Well, he was one of my biggest motivators. He's the reason why I'm a PhD MD now. But then you pushed me to my purpose, and now it's like
but he didn't think you're gonna keep running and running and running.
And he, yeah.
And I think that's a problem. That's a problem in a lot of relationships now because you want your husband to jump on your journey, but he's the man. He's the king.
Right? Oh yeah.
King's not supposed to jump off their throne.
I like that. I like that.
You're supposed to come over to his, and it's getting hard for us now.
Well, and I agree with that. I want you to know that I agree with that. But when we, and this is why the journal is so good, because when we decide to go over and jump on his journey, and we're not pursuing our own, then we're taking something from ourselves that, so again, conversations need to be had. Expectations need to be had. One of the things I told my pastor just a couple of weeks ago, and I think you need to add this in marital counseling. What are your expectations? If she does go and decide to be a full-fledged doctor, how are you going to support that? Not even just saying being a doctor, but if she chooses to do this,
her own business and work, and that's the conversation for you and him. That's the conversation you're supposed to have in your relationship.
I think that I was going to say, I think that's where the breakdown is, because we don't have those conversations for multiple reasons. I have a friend right now, she was like, I wish I could just ponder up and say what I want to say. But instead she stays home and she's a good wife, and she said to me the other day, I wish I could start my own business. Like she has all these, every time I go over there and talk to her, she has all these wonderful ideas. And I'm like, girl, you need to do
But
it.
she don't want to disappoint him.
Absolutely. But then you gave up your
Disappoint
purpose.
herself. Yeah, she's hurt.
So this relationship thing
Toxic relationship.
and this love
Yeah.
thing, it is complicated.
It is. It's very complicated.
My 25-year-old said,
Yeah.
that's why I don't do it.
That's,
He said, that's why I
that
don't do
makes
it.
sense. That makes
Yes,
sense.
he does. He said, that's why I don't do it.
He'll
He said,
fall in
because
love.
it's
Yeah.
so complicated. And love, no one said that love wasn't going to be
Right.
complicated.
Nobody said it's going to be easy.
And no one said that you could not try and try and try and try again. Because maybe that one wasn't the one.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't the one.
Yeah. Relationships are hard. Relationships are a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be willing to put the work in. But can you put the work in your relationship, in your businesses?
I think everything that you put in the path and you're doing it with your purpose, because everyone was created with a purpose.
Right.
So I feel
True.
as though if it's your purpose and you go to that individual, might it be your husband, your significant, or might it be that person, and you show the love and the compassion that you have for it, but also understand your role. And see, that's where mine's got twisted, because I understood my role. I understood the assignment.
Okay.
I understood the assignment. But when the assignment got bigger, my role had to change. So at that time, you see the assignment and you see the role. Everything had to change. And I think some people they become stagnated when roles change sometimes. And I think, I'm just my opinion, I think our men, because they don't communicate very well. Now we have me not communicating well. Now you have him not communicating well. Those are ingredients for disaster.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But not communicating is a disaster for any relationship.
Absolutely.
Whether you're doing anything or not,
And me being a strong woman, I stand on that. But that's why he knew me for so many years, and he already knew that I was going to stand strong. I have learned in the last couple of years that no matter how many people are rooting for you, at the end of the finish line, you cross alone.
By yourself.
So I'm not saying to pour that out to that you're going to be alone. You want to be alone. But there's an audience standing on the sideline cheering for you. And that person can be cheering for you. But really, technically, it was your purpose to write this book. No one said you had to write the book. No one held anything. It was your purpose. So I just tell women all the time, and trust me, I get a lot of women come up to me. Let's take everything off the table and let's talk about you and your purpose. Because there's going to be a lot of people along the way that's going to fall off.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And that person might be your significant other. And then sometimes you have to realize that maybe I wasn't the one for him. Maybe there's another woman that's going to satisfy his purpose and satisfy his needs. But still, I have to stay in light of what God has for me.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur of many things. It can be very hard.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. But if you love what you're doing,
that's another thing.
If you love what you're doing, it's not hard.
And
if you love what you're doing, working towards it, it's not hard.
And I do. I really do.
You love what you're doing, and you got to deal with other stuff. That makes
those are mitigating factors. That's what I call them. A mitigating
factor. If you're
factors.
working on your purpose and you have a spouse, a friend, or you're in a relationship that you might not should be in, that's when it gets hard. If you're with the person you're supposed to be with, it wouldn't be hard because they're going to support you the whole time.
Ladies, are y'all writing this down? Because I'm telling you, I just got chills.
Yeah, if they're not supporting you, are we sure?
Are we sure? Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
That's what the journal's for.
That's what the journal. Sure? And are we? That's such a good quote. Are we sure? Are we sure? Just because you showed up at the wedding and you said I do, later on down the line, are you sure?
Because it's how that person makes you feel. I don't want to be with somebody and I'm miserable. I don't want to be with somebody and I'm anxious or depressed.
Yeah.
There's no way you can complete your mission not only your intimate other relationship, but what about your family and your
Yes,
friends? They
yes,
fall off too.
yes, yes, yes.
When you really get into your purpose, people just fall off.
They do. And one of the things about Know Your Purpose, I've always stood very honest in everything that goes on in Know Your Purpose and goes on in Brass Mill and goes on in every organization that I stand in. And one of the things I try to do is always be as honest as I possibly, because sometimes you can't tell everybody everything.
Right, right.
Okay. But I can tell you from being a strong Black entrepreneur, um, relationships did fall off.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
going to. They're going to continue to fall
but
off.
one thing I did not do, and I want to say this to all you entrepreneurs out there that are getting started, I didn't expect them to fall off. I think that's what hurt the most, because I think it's TD Jakes has something out there right now. If they don't call, stop expecting them to call. I literally set myself up because I'm thinking, oh, I want everybody to go with me. I want everybody to be happy. And I found out through therapy that I'm a people pleaser. Oh man, I want Miss Sheila to be happy with everything that she's doing. I want to be her biggest cheerleader, but then I'm forgetting to cheerlead for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big people pleaser. And then I had to stop and think, I got Shanae over in the corner and she's rooting for me, but then when she goes to hug me, she's stabbing me in my back, and I wasn't expecting it. You know, one of the things my friend told me the other night, pay attention. You don't pay attention. You don't pay attention. I'm like, yes, I do.
We got to stop expecting so much from other
Yes.
people, you know?
Yes.
Stop expecting stuff from them and you'll be happier, you know?
I love you for saying that, because I figured when I started a business, I wanted to be a family business, and my sisters, my brothers, and my cousins, they're all supposed to help me. And I used to get mad when I would post something and nobody, my sisters and brothers and cousins and uncles, they didn't share it. I'm like, well, I expect you to share it. You're my family. That's totally wrong.
Right. It is.
But then I see little Billy over in the corner. I don't know Billy, but Billy done shared my post like 6 times. He's on my post. Dr. Venable, I just love what you do. I'm telling you.
That's the one for you.
And that's the one. Yeah. That's the supporter.
We're not going to know half of our supporters.
We don't. We don't. You think I don't even know 1.K people. I don't even know that 1 point. But they're the supporters.
I'm not trying to sell these books to people I know. You know, I'm trying to sell them to
people that you don't know
who want to read them. People who going through something and want an idea and want a journal so they can write it down. And that's you will be everybody. That's not going to be family members. That I don't expect them to, you know.
And that's where I fell short.
I didn't get mad. I don't get mad.
I did in the beginning.
I don't expect anything from anybody.
In my intimacy of business owning and being a business entrepreneur, I used to get mad. Okay. You know, but now the saying is, you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
I live on that. And I did a live. I told you I did a live right before you came on tonight, just to let people know that, hey, Know Your Purpose is back. And because it's been a few weeks. And within that journey of a few weeks, one of the quotes that I use all the time, just because you don't see me moving don't mean I'm not moving.
Right, right.
And I can tell you the small circle that I have now, it is humongous.
It's genuine.
It is humongous. The people that have poured into me, because stepping over from being a PhD to an MD was one of the hardest things in my life. And now, like, I am the lowest on the totem pole in my career.
Okay.
That bothers me somewhat because I've always been at the top of the food chain. But then to know that you're really getting ready to walk into your purpose and you're at the bottom of the food chain. So you have to go and do what everybody tells. So, you know, being an MD, I get the throw ups and all this and that. And I work the night shift. So I work internal medicine in the ER. So those doctors, they're prestige. They've been there for years. Right. And they're like, and let me tell you something, audience, just because you cute, it ain't going to get you nowhere. And they, you know, they're like, oh, she walking here, she thinks she's cute. So, well, we're going to serve. The last,
you're the little helper.
The last 6 weeks, y'all, I've been the gopher. I've been the coffee maker. I've been the COVID tester. I've been the monkeypox. This right here is the monkeypox. And no, it's just the ingrown hair. When I tell you I've been at the bottom of the food chain, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, that's where you want to be because you're learning.
That bottom feeder, bottom feeder is important.
Yes, it is.
And I want people to understand that you still work a day job and you still and you still love your businesses and you still give to
I'm
your
still working
businesses.
on my businesses and
I literally,
nonprofit.
I literally every day give it my all.
Mhm.
I give it my all. I'll leave here tonight and I have to be at work by 11 o'clock tonight, but everything in my day got done. And one of the things that sets in with me sometimes is that loneliness, because remember, I was used to stability
Yeah, your
that
body.
wasn't
Yeah.
there and that's not there anymore. And sometimes us as women, we go and try to find that makeup
Mhm.
for what we're lacking, and we don't make the greatest choices.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I want to say that again, we don't make the greatest choices, and I'm not talking about like with a man or a woman, even in friendships. We look for these diehard friendships because we're lonely, and the relationship isn't working out, and then we go tell someone, and then it gets now ostracized, and people just aren't feeling good anymore.
And yeah, that's why you got to be careful in all your relationships.
Yeah, and that, I
If
want
it
to.
doesn't make you feel good, no matter who it is, leave it alone. And I've learned throughout my life, if I'm around a person, I'm not comfortable. I don't. It doesn't make me happy. I don't try to pursue that relationship. I'm
When
talking about male or female. It doesn't
when do
matter.
you leave?
I don't have to be around that person.
I mean, like, even in a relationship that you're
Yes.
going through, might it be a friendship, might it be a marriage? When do you leave?
You just don't show up no more.
I love that.
You just don't show up no more. You know.
So when you say just don't show up anymore, do you mean like don't be around them, or just don't show up in their inbox, or when they call you, just don't show up, just don't pick up?
All the above. Just don't show up no more. You always come up with excuses. When people keep coming up with excuses of why they don't want to be around you, leave them alone.
I literally have never exited anyone out of my life. I have never done that because they always seem to exit themselves.
Okay, okay.
And maybe that's why. But I didn't look at it the way you just said. Maybe I stopped showing up.
Right.
Or maybe I made it uncomfortable. Because sometimes it's okay to make that situation that you don't want to be in. It's okay.
You got that right. You got a right to make that decision.
Hmm.
You know, some people just keep planting themselves in you.
Hmm.
Then you might have to tell
Hmm.
them. You know, but that's your decision to invite anybody you want in your life. If you don't want them in your life, you don't have to invite them.
The words love and pain
Mhm.
together. How do you feel about that? Because
There
people is happy and love.
exactly. You know what? Women will fight for pain. Women will have somebody that they know is no good for them, but they will go out there and fight for that because
That's
it's theirs.
is
They'll fight for it.
that
That's how bad it gets sometimes.
that's why when you told me months and months and months ago the name of the book,
Hmm.
I was like, how does she put? Because most people want love and
No,
fairy tale
that's
endings.
we know that's not true. There's going to be pain. All love, there's going to be some type of pain, but how much are you willing to deal with?
That endurement of pain, because when we have surgery and stuff, and we know, anticipating that we're going to have the surgery, we know that there's going to be pain, but
Mhm.
we also anticipate that we're going to heal from the pain and we're going to be able. But there are some times you don't heal from it,
Right.
and I think with me, I think that us as women and men too, we
Yeah.
always carry a little bit with us in every relationship that we start. Because we all had a friend that did us wrong, but we make new friends, but we still in the back of our mind thinking, I'm only gonna go but so far because
Right.
that person I had a friend
Right.
hurt me.
Right.
Or I have a friend now, she swears off men. She just doesn't date anymore. She just says, you know what, I'm not
She
dating
got
them.
hurt so
She
bad
got
by
hurt so
one
much. So
person.
now she just hangs out and she just goes, but she just swears them off because every time something happens, it's called trauma.
Hmm.
And we always seem to carry a little bit with us. But we have to allow ourselves to heal and be okay because in the aftermath of all this, God did not create us to be alone.
Right. He did,
He didn't. So we have to learn how to heal.
but he
Um,
didn't create us to be abused either.
he did not, but he did not create us to be fools either. He
Right.
talks about it
Right.
in his word and create us to be fools.
We're talking about women, but men
Mhm.
suffer just as
They
bad as
do.
women when
They
it comes
do.
to
They do.
pain and love.
I literally am in watching, and it's great because through counseling, I'm starting to see where, and believe it or not, I'm a mother of three kings. So a lot of times my principle stands on men because I see
Hmm.
my three kings. Um, I think there's a lot of men out there suffering but they're suffering in silence,
In silence.
which hurts us because if
Mhm.
we can't reach them.
Because we want to protect them. We want, as
I
women, we
I
want
was
to
told,
protect our men.
yeah,
We
I was
want
told
to,
a couple of weeks ago that I was a fixer.
yeah, we are. We do. We want to protect them.
And he told me I don't want to be fixed. Like there's nothing wrong with me. I don't want to be fixed. And I'm like clearly seeing that there's something wrong.
Mhm.
And I had to take that, and I had to take that and say, you know what? Okay.
They go in their little cave and fix it themselves, figure it out themselves. They just won't be left alone.
And you know how much hurt that's putting on the world because you
We don't know how to leave them alone. We're
I
going to
was
keep trying to put a band-aid on them. We're
I
going to
was
keep
just
trying
going
to,
to say
yeah,
because it's in our
yeah,
nature.
yes.
It's in our nature to want everything to work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our nature, and I'm not downing men by no means. I stand on a platform for them as well, but it just sets us up for the generational foundational piece because I don't call it curses.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you build a house on a poor foundation, that house is no good. I don't care how beautiful that house is. Matter of fact, there was a house up in I believe it was Jarrettsville, and it was in the paper a couple of weeks ago how the homeowners are suing. But they put it relates back, and I've related it back to relationships because when I read stuff, I try to see how I can fit in and what's going on in my life to fit in. And the woman was on there, and I paid attention to the woman, but I also paid attention to the man. The man was more emotional than she was. He said because he felt like it was his place to build this house for his wife. That's all he wanted to do was make her happy. And they wound up building this house on a poor piece of property. And the foundation started cracking and shaking. But if you go and see that house, it is beautiful from looking from the outside in. But once you get in, they had the news people go in. You could look up in the corner to see the cracks.
Everything, yeah.
You could see the unelevated shift.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how relationships are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes everything looks really nice on the outside until you get to know that person and you start seeing cracks and levees. Technically, you can't fix it. And I had to learn that. Sometimes you just can't fix things.
People are, yeah.
And then people are the same way. Sometimes you can't fix what's going on in another person. But one nugget that you dropped tonight, I can move on and say, hey, maybe that person wasn't for me.
Right.
I think I stayed too long too.
And we do.
And I don't know what that's about.
I
even stay in friendships too long. Yeah. I've stayed on jobs too long. Just for the stability of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I still doing here? Why am I still here when I know that there's a greater purpose for me? Why am I still here in this stagnant, hurtful place? Even in churches. Sometimes you already know. It's time for you to move on.
I think that makes a lot of people unhappy too. That's why we got a lot of angry people.
Angry.
They're not happy in their relationships. They're not happy on their job. They're not happy with a lot of things. But whose fault is that? It's your fault for staying in the relationship.
Yep.
Your fault for staying in the job. But then you take it out on everybody else.
I think my part of it was I was scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all are.
I was scared. I knew that job offer that was given to me. Oh man, I know I can go there and be great. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, this, well, that, well, you got to start over. You got to meet new people. You got to start to, let me tell you, I was so afraid of starting this new career because I remember saying to my friend, what if I mess up? He was like, what if you mess up? Mm-hmm. See, I set myself up on this platform.
Everybody has them thoughts. Everybody, just like when you start your own business, you're scared.
Oh, was I?
You don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, was I? But one thing I learned quick about my business is that no one's going to love it the way I love it. So guess what? I had to suck it up. And that's what gave me the strength. That's what gave me the strength to not only finish PhD and be a professor, but that gave me the strength to go on and say, if I can do that, my business saved my life. My business saved my life because if I can do that, then I know my end goal was to be an MD.
Right.
That was my end goal. And I said, if I can get out here in the middle of COVID, right, and build these businesses, had one failed partnership and another one came, If I can get out here, and we never closed our door, not one time. We never took no loans. We never took none of that other grants. We grinded. My new partner and I, we hit and I said, if I can grind like this for the brass mill, I can grind like this and I can finish. I shut myself off from the world. I put my head in the books, graduated top of my class, and move forward.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do it.
You have to put yourself first.
You have to just,
But always understand, even in putting yourself first, but also understanding the assignment, understanding what your purpose is in the assignment, and always know that you were created with one.
Right.
I just learned that.
And the people that's supposed to be there will be there. The people that ain't, they're going to fall off.
And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt because it hurt me. I was like, wow. And even so today, things happen that's so unexpected. I'm still trying to get used to that. Because I think sometimes, okay, I'm on this even field. Ain't nothing happened. We going good. We're real good. And then the unexpected happens. But one thing I have done is I have started putting on the full armor. So if that arrow, that bullet, or that kick in the knee, it's going to hurt.
Sometimes you got to put it on when you get dressed. Just put your armor on.
Put it on.
Ready,
put it on. I had a police officer not too long ago, and he had his vest on, but he got grazed. But he said it hurt so bad. And when we took his shirt off, he had a blood buster that was crazy. I mean, it was hematoma that was like he had a whole nother piece of chest sitting outside his chest. And he was in there and he was crying. He was like, this hurts so bad.
It saved his life.
But it saved his life. So sometimes things are going to hurt, but they're going to save our lives. And I felt like, okay, I'm going to put this armor on. But still, when they throw daggers, it still hurts.
That's going to hurt.
But it didn't kill me.
Yeah.
Satan will come to seek and destroy, but he won't kill you if you come already armed. I had to learn all that.
Yeah, good.
And I had to make it look good when I didn't know.
We always make it look good. I mean, it doesn't matter.
We come with that admiration.
Somebody's going through, but we make it look like ain't nothing.
I say it all the time. And people know about me, Doc, all the time. I say it all the time. I'm not going to look like what I went through. You can forget that.
You're right.
Don't think, and I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not one of them women you're going to catch out here with the hair bonded on, the slippers and the tissue on my nose because things just wore me down.
Yeah.
Because life's going to wear you down.
Yeah, it is. If you let it, it will.
Everything in life stems back to a relationship. That's why it's so important to have you on tonight to talk about relationships, because every part of your life stems back to a relationship.
Right.
Every part. I didn't realize a couple of weeks ago, our trash man, I hadn't seen him in a while. And I didn't even realize I have a relationship with him because I started caring about, I started caring that I didn't see him because he always says, can I drive your car? Nope. He said, I'll try again next week. Okay. I'll be waiting on you same time, 7:00. And I finally, me being as busy as I am, I finally was home at 7 in the morning. I was walking up the driveway and I said to the truck driver, I said, hey, where's the guy that dumps the trash? He said, oh, he passed away. Oh. I was like, when did it happen? He said, oh, it's been about a month now. And I had to stop and think. I haven't made the car joke. But it dawned on me that I had a relationship with him. It wasn't an intimate relationship because it was something that I expected every other Monday. I knew he would jump off. He would always, and he was old. He
made you smile.
He made me smile.
He made you smile, yeah.
And then to know that
you tend to want to be around people that make you smile.
Yes. Even down to your male person.
Yes.
It's a relationship. Yes. When you open up your mouth and say good morning, you have now jump started a relationship. So it's just being kind.
And that's what we need to find more of, the relationships that we enjoy. You know what I mean? Being around people we enjoy.
I am going to take that validation that you just gave me right there. Because sometimes I find myself being around people that I don't enjoy the company, but sometimes when we're working, we can enjoy it. But when it's my time,
you can. It's your choice. Yeah.
Life's about choices. And sometimes even as we polished women have it together, we forget about that.
We got choices now. Believe me, I take advantage of all my choices.
Yeah, you are my inspiration.
Right now, it's like
I never get that day. You came to my office. I was like, I want to be just like you when I grow up. I want to be just like you. And I did tell you that, didn't I?
Yeah,
I said, ever since I met you, I always looked at you as being very polished, very prestige, but also always standing on your word.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met
Yeah, I
you.
do.
I met you about 5 years ago. Maybe I think it's about 5 years ago. And I remember you took the podium, and I was like, oh my God, she's she speaks with such poise, such grace, and she's so compassionate. She has so
Yeah.
much compassion about what. Because I think we met at the African American Democratic Club,
Yeah, that's
and
what
we were fighting for a cause,
Mm-hmm.
and they were getting ready to vote me in as president. And Cornelius, God rest his soul, that was my everything. I think about how proud he would be of me,
Mm-hmm.
because he was actually molding me.
Oh, okay.
He was molding
Okay.
me to take that position. So I was learning from him, and we had a great relationship. But I think back every once in a while how proud he would be of me. And then I think my next a great inspiration and thought of you was when we were at Art Helton's, and we brought Elijah Cummings' wife.
Yeah,
And
I remember
your
that.
elegance, yes, and just your elegance in the
Mhm.
room. I was like,
Mhm.
this is, and again, I am a little younger, but we need women like you, because I was like, her hair, not a hair was out of place,
No matter what's
hunty.
going on, no
Not a
matter what's
hair was
going
out of
on,
place. And this woman makeup is always popping. She's always well spoken of, highly. That's
Thank you.
we need that, because a lot of us don't have that mother figure anymore. And I'm not saying you need to be a mother figure, but what I am saying is you're not only just leaving these books as legacies for just your family, like you said, it's not even about your family, but you're leaving them for people like me too, who say, you know what? The other day I was going through something, and I didn't even know you. You said you would stop by, but I'm like, okay, sure. If she stops by, when you came in my office, I knew that I was safe.
Mm-hmm.
When you sat down, I knew I was safe. We need we yes, and I was able to talk. But women, we need each other to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share that with every viewer, that every
Somebody
woman,
to confide in, and it's not going to go nowhere.
it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're that friend tonight, we be that friend.
Mm-hmm.
Be that I am friend to where it ain't go. But I just remember for a while I didn't feel safe. And then all of a sudden, I could not see you for months, and you'll come in, and I feel the same genuine safety in that room. That's what everything.
That's what relationships are.
I was going to say, and that's what it all comes.
Yeah, I don't care if you don't see each other for 2 years. When you see that person,
Mm-hmm.
that same feeling is there.
Well, that it's not only that, like the energy that you brought to the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you saying, Saquon, and this the smile he gave you. I'm like, okay, this woman is walking. I mean, Brass Mill, we have, it feels like home there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But to know that we have someone that's out there rooting for us, and to know that this woman actually walks in and brings that type of energy, that's amazing. Please, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. I supported Coming of Kings, and I support everything that you do now.
Everything I do, whether it's Coming of Kings, the books, it's all for the next generation to be better.
And that's great, because guess what? I have to build my next generation with my kids and people that come through Brass Mill. So the better. Wow, what is
I'm not
that?
done. I still have children's books.
That is amazing. I love this. I love this.
All of this is for the next generation.
Can people purchase these things?
Yeah.
Okay, so my podcast manager is going to put up information in the toolbar where you can buy her. Love it.
All of my grandkids got a book.
Oh, I love it.
But this is
that's
also
amazing.
We want the next generation to read more. This texting.
That's right. That's so
right. It's getting out of hand.
So my granddaughter and my grandkids would love this. We definitely are going to. We have a library here at the Business Suites of Brass Mill, and we're going to purchase some things and put in our library for when. It's a great library. This is wonderful. I don't know if you guys can see these, but these are wonderful. Your illustrator is amazing.
Yeah, those are my grandkids out doing whatever they do.
Your illustrator is amazing. This is really nice.
But
I love this.
Everything I do is for the next generation, because I think my age group, our age group, we have to reach back out to the next generation and help these parents.
And you know what? People are so selfish with their give back, but I want to say that I don't think that it's all intentional.
No.
Because I know sometimes, and you reminded me tonight, you're so busy. Watch your give back. And I try to say that my give back is for when people come to Brass Mill and I help them with their businesses, or we help them get a hub or whatever. But also I got to stop and remember to give back into my community, because if we don't give back, then it all goes stagnant.
Because think about our grandmas were there. You
Yes,
just talked about your
yes,
grandma.
yes, yes, I did.
So not only for our kids, but for the whole community. So that means this whole next generation is sort of like our responsibility also.
They are, and that's where we hold and leave our legacy within them, and we leave our legacy by doing great works like this, and great works like Coming to Kings, and great works like Love's Pain. These books will be able to be picked up for years to come. So with that being said, I think I shared with you that my children's books will be out. Did I share that with you? My children's books will be out in November. I started with children's books because it was so many stories. We grew up in the Black Heights, and the Black Heights is no longer there. But it's so many stories. Me and my brother would get around and we would tell our stories. So this book is about, so it's like a Curious George, but these two little twins that run havoc through Harford County. And the two little twins are my brother and I. And we grew up in an area called Beacon Terrace. It's still there on Trimble Road. So these stories are mimicking about our lifestyles as children. And everybody loves Curious George. Everybody wants to know what the next thing, that next adventure that Curious George goes on. But I just put it with an African American twist about an African American family who had these two curious little twins. Right. There's always getting into and we got it, but the good moral of the book is we always got into a little mischief, but there was always a lesson behind it. We learned a lesson behind it. So those books will be out really, really soon. Nia Duncan is also one of my publishers. Rebecca is my illustrator. She's young. And I like giving work to young people because I like to see where they're going with their thought process. So those books will be coming out really soon. We want to say thank you for you coming. One of the things,
thank you for having me.
And one of the things we talked about is keep watching our social media pages, because she's going to come to Brass Mill and do a book signing. She's going to come. Keep watching for the flyers. We'll put them out, and we hope that all of you will come. She also has a few other things in the works. So keep paying attention to her social media. We're going to drop all her information in the hashtags. You can, if you missed any part of this because you had to go to the bathroom, you can replay this, or you had to go cook something in the kitchen. You can replay this and listen to all the great nuggets that she dropped tonight. They were wonderful.
I had a good time.
And I know you've been here on the campus of Brass Mill for the last couple of days. So we're gonna let her go because she's been with us for multiple times this week. Again, we just appreciate you. We love you. We want to support you. I've always supported you in any endeavor, and we're going to continue to support. And I'm so happy that she decided to do a book signing here with Brass Mill. I've seen her do book signings other places. And, oh no, she got to come bless us. She's got to come bless us.
And your book's to be out in November, so maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to go on tour, and my tour is going to be at daycares. Tour. So I'm going to be sitting down reading the stories to our daycares and to elementary schools. So my assistant has set me up for tours, and usually people are really waiting for me to go on 12 city tours. I am going to go on a 12 county tour. So I'm going to go to every county, and I'm going to
in the surrounding
area, and I'm going to sit down and have story time at the kinder cares, at the child times. That's my give back. And we'll leave a couple books there, and then we'll leave a couple order forms where people can order. My book will also be Amazon, Barnes Noble, so it'll be at all those places too. But I think when you get out there and people really get to see who the author really is behind the wording, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. Now, if I can get my brother on some of these tours, I'm gonna try hard. This is my twin brother. That's really hard because he's not a people person, but I think he'll do it. He was in agreement to the stories being told, and he's looked at the book and he's liked it and stuff like that. So remember, what you do for yourself could inspire someone else too. So we're gonna sign off tonight. Again, we have some quick news. The business suites at Brass Mill is now becoming the campus of Brass Mill because we have so many entities right here on the property. So we have the executive suites here that's now open. We also have the podcast studio is in the phases of being remodeled and revamped. So we are going to come with some more state of the art. So if you're looking for a place to podcast, we have that here. The Business Suites of Delaware is doing fantastic. If you're in the Delaware location and you need office space, please call us. If you need office space here, we have about four offices left, and then we'll be completely full.
Okay.
So we're doing great things. We do have a senior program that we are going to reintroduce next month, where the seniors meet with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays is for cooking. Thursdays is for arts and crafts.
Okay.
And then we do exercises with our seniors. We do that from 11 to 2. So they have a place to come.
Lunchtime, okay.
Free program. It's a free program. So we have a lot of new programs coming. So stay tuned with us here at the Business Suites of Brass Mill, but the campus of that's going to be renamed real soon.
Okay.
All right. So again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you go out. Make sure you purchase these books. They're just not for the table, but they're for activity. We're not going to make the table look good. Okay. She's showing them. And these are her grandchildren.
Yeah, these are all my grandchildren. Yeah.
These are her grandchildren. I didn't think about that.
They look close enough. They look close enough.
That's all right. That's all right. They're beautiful books. But again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Stacey Venable, and I will see you next time. Happy endeavors in everything that you do.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And good night, my friends.